Hello and welcome back. As I promised, here we are with the Dreamgate Oracle, which arrived yesterday in my hands. It has been released, I believe, this week, maybe at the end, towards the end of last week. I've tried to keep the lighting low so as to be as true to the colors as I possibly can. All right, let's get in there. So this is one of Danielle's first decks. I'm not going to say the only one because there's other ones that you can get through Amazon, especially if you're a French speaker. But this is one of her first ones, which is published through to Amazon, and it still appears, with her name on the front, as if it is a self-published deck. And you see RP Studio, and you see that this is part of the Hachette book group. So I think she's teamed up with a publisher for this one. But it's okay because it makes it a little bit more widely available. In the UK, I think I paid 22, maybe £23, just shy of £23 for it. Well worth it. I'd paid in excess of 50 or 60 for this one when it came out last year, and it was well worth it. You know, all of her decks, all of her self-published decks are worth the £50 mark. That's just my opinion. So when we crack into this, we have, this is a magnetic box, not particularly strong magnet, but it will be fit for purpose. And we have what will be the back of the cards with the Wanderer. I'm going to call this figure the Wanderer. I dream, I imagine, and I create. And we have this gate, which is a combination of several of the gates. Well, at least 3. I dream, I imagine, and I create. The guidebook lives up to Danielle's guidebooks. It has a little bit of introduction, which I didn't pour over the introduction, to be honest, but you are more than welcome to do so. How to use the Dreamgate Oracle. It came clear today in consultation with my tarot and oracle that the Dreamgate is really fit for purpose when you're inquiring about how do I get from A to B. Okay, so there's that gate which needs to be walked through, and it's very interesting that this is the one that I reached for when something came up in the tarot today, which needed a little bit of extra input with. So you can, there's lots of different ways that you can use this deck. I guess you can use it for reflection, for forward thinking, for helping you articulate your journey. And I'm seeing the dreaming doorways here. And you know, sometimes we have the sense of being stuck, and it's not always easy to have a forward momentum and to know how to pass through this stuckness phase, which can happen in our lives. So I guess this oracle is going to help you move forward with that, and it will be a very positive input in your life for those moments. On a daily basis, I can see myself using it on a daily basis. So not that I'm doing a comparison, but the Ocean Dreams has turned out to be for an oracle which is specifically for me when I require input on healing. And I use it for that. Like when something comes up and I know that there is healing to be done behind it, this is the oracle that I reach for. So it's not exactly an everyday. I also work with it on spans of time. So I will pick a card and I will work with the message within it over a longer span of time. So it could be weeks, it could be a month or two. You know, generally it ends up being 4 to 6 weeks because the messages are so deep and vibrant in this, and really deserve to be worked through thoroughly. So I don't know how things are going to pan out with the Dreamgate oracle. So there's guidance on the dream journaling, the dream incubation, and then there's spreads, which are really cool. And then we get into the card interpretation. As for Danielle's card interpretation, you have a colored booklet. So you have the card in color. The booklet is in alphabetical order. You get the keywords. You get a couple of phrases that you can use. And then there's a little short resume, a more expanded version, and then the message, okay, which can be quite long, and then questioning. Then the questioning, if you're au fait with Danielle's work, the questioning is always there. It's always there. So I like the questioning. You know, that's in a way what helps us move forward. So this is great because it's encompassing all of the cards. And then, oh, there's one which is in blue. I will need to look at that in detail. Two that are in blue. Okay, and then your acknowledgements at the end. So, and you can see the back of the book with the Wanderer. And we will find this image again at the back of the cards. So the cards themselves, they are inside of this insert, which I nearly destroyed last night when I was looking inside the box. Usually I will do away with the inserts and to see if there is something behind. The cards are held in a tuck box, which is unusual for Danielle. And I advise you to have like a sort of not sharp but flat object. As you can see, I've already torn a little bit into it, but a flat object will be your friend in order to get this open until it gets oiled a little bit and, you know, broken into. And then we have the back of the cards without the wandering person. Okay, so the edging is just a flat white, which will do just fine. And as you can see, I have already been with the cards, and so they are not in strict order, although I don't know how well mixed they are, but I was working with them yesterday. So all right, so I have played around trying to get an accurate reading on these colors, and they're actually quite difficult, but I think this is passable and fairly true to the colors. So a lot of tan, but also a lot of pinks and a lot of blues. If you're like me, you will really enjoy this amount of light pastel colors which are bringing consciousness into the colors. So as I've said, these are not in order. Now, what struck me when I was working with the deck yesterday, straight away, was the feeling of portals, gates. You were truly drawn into the gates. And so the whole idea of the oracle is very true to those gates. And I like the themes that are explored. I think they're very good. The themes are very forward-thinking. They're very helpful. Holy renewal. And the one thing which is very different in this deck is the fact that you have the keywords. So not only do you have a border at the bottom, but you've also got the name of the card and the keywords underneath. The multiverse. So the other thing which I find extremely helpful is to consider some gates which you might not feel necessarily and naturally. You might not think about those particular gates. Nostalgic release. So I'm just gonna let you enjoy the rest of the flip through. And so I don't know about you, but one, I get a lot of, I've seen some of these feeling in the Moonchild Tarot, especially the Shadow Edition, especially if I go into these cards. You know, it just happens that I've picked some of those. Okay, so if I was to do a draw with the Shadow Edition of the Moonchild, and I was picking this, which is what happened to me, and then I was doing a further information with the Dreamgate, and I was picking the Move with Grace, which is what happened. I felt like I had a direct reflection across the two. In terms of size, the Oracle is slightly wider than the Tarot. Okay, just a teeny bit wider and the same height. So let's do a little shuffle and a little draw. So these cards are very slidey. They're a dream shuffle. I mean, it's a little bit awkward for me because I'm a little bit stretched. Let's pull 3 cards. Messages from your guides. Messages from the soul. Messages from the masters. Okay, so some of your guides may also be masters, but you know, mine are not. So I get the messages from the guides, messages from the soul, messages from the masters. So that would be masters such as Saint Germain or Lady Nada. Feel which one you're drawn into. Have a look at the keywords. Shadow key gives you inner waters, disclosure, emotional healing. So actually with this as a message for my guides, I would definitely go and reach for the ocean dreams. That would be a no-brainer. In the Daydream Believer, which is messages from the soul messages, I mean, that's quite funny. That was the messages from the soul. And that was soul messages, dreamy solutions, seeds of discovery. And then from the master, we get the mystic key, patterns in the subtle realms, time keys, and singularities. So this is really, there's a theme that is coming out quite, well, the cards are being quite vocal actually about it. So you are encouraged from your guides to go and do some shadow work and some emotional healing. You could work with Ocean Dreams. You could work with the Moonchild Shadow Edition and work on the Shadow Key. I find that if I were to work with the Ocean Dreams, this is going to give me a piece of work that I can engage with for a while. So it's going to maybe take a couple of weeks for me to work through this. And then the Daydream Believer, this is the one that I'd like to just have a look at the guidebook. The Daydream Believer, seeds of discovery, free-flowing thoughts, soul messages, dreamy solutions. I am open to my inner visions, and this is found again in the mystic key. I'm lost and found in my imagination. So this is really encouraging introspection. The language of a daydream is free-flowing energy, like an intuitive current that takes you on a gentle trip along your inner waters. Here you may fantasize or visualize your hopes and desires, or spend time soulfully exploring. When you allow yourself to daydream, there are no rules or limitations to what you can explore. Anything is possible when you enter the space, and your imagination is the vehicle that will guide you forward. It is an uncharted journey beyond this veil of reality. When we are in a state of daydreaming, we may also feel as though we've left the earthly plane, as our thoughts drift off into another dimension or alternate timeline. Okay, so it goes on a bit. The message, many sacred visions and wishes stir in the ethers of your subconscious. This card is calling you to dive into your daydreams and follow the flow of your thoughts. What feelings, memories, locations, or ideas arise to the surface? Allow yourself to be nourished and held within the drifting chapters of this story. Close your eyes and see where these may take you. If you find that your daydreams sometimes lead you to ruminating on the past, reflect on the lived patterns that have perhaps looped these thoughts in place. Let these help identify any unresolved challenges that may require some care, so that you can make more informed choices and cultivate a greater sense of peace. Then it goes on, feel free to pause. When my mind rests, what visions automatically arise? Am I holding on to anything at this time? Is the other question. And I would say those are pertinent questions when we also have Shadow Key. And then Mystic Key, which is also asking you to look at patterns in the subtle realms. So if you were to read this on your own, say without necessarily the book, I would say you really are being asked to engage deeply with your intuitive self. You're being asked to look at your limiting patterns. And the Shadow Key is quite a closed-in gate compared to the other ones. The other ones are much more open. You still get the effect of the portal and the gate, and this one goes across as well rather than being vertical. So I really would look at limiting beliefs. This is what's jumping out at me. Limiting beliefs, limiting energies that we're outputting, and this is what we're seeding, and this is what we're getting back. So we're being asked to dream and expand and look beyond and engage beyond the self into the subtle realms. So we really have a whole piece of work which is unfolding across those 3 cards. I love the way that they come about as well, from darkness to those pastels, bringing in consciousness, and then to this very bright light, here, which is the cleansing and the consciousness realized into those darker corners. So you do have an unfolding of those messages that bring you forward into more light. How do you see it? Did you enjoy looking at the cards? Are you enjoying how they read? Did you order or pre-order this deck? Let me know in the comments. Please engage and like and subscribe to the channel. That would be much appreciated. Thank you, and I will see you again very soon.